What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WrestleRant, where every single week right here in the show, I, Graham Giason Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network as well as on the Global Wrestling Network. Today we're talking No Mercy 2017, a pay-per-view presented by the Raw brand. Overall, a pretty good show. I thought No Mercy 2016 was an equally entertaining event. They brought back No Mercy after a near 9-year absence. It went away from 2009 to 2016. So yeah, about 7 years. 7 years it was away for. They brought it back in 2016, 2017. And once again, it has been discontinued, which sucks. I thought No Mercy was a great pay-per-view, awesome name, and they got rid of it in favor of Hell in a Cell or TLC or whatever the fuck. Pay-per-views that really, to me, do not have as much meaning. Now, I know Hell in a Cell and TLC have been around now for almost 10 years, every bit as long as No Mercy was. But at the same time, I just thought No Mercy had, better moments, better matches, and not to say that TLC and Hell in a Cell don't, but not every fucking pay-per-view has to be a gimmick pay-per-view. And I think No Mercy is a lot like Backlash, where it's a great concept and it doesn't have to have a Hell in a Cell match on the card or a fucking TLC match in the main event. But nonetheless, by and large, I like this show. No Mercy 2017, I thought it was a very entertaining event from an in-ring standpoint. Again, by and large, the main event was a major disappointment, which I'll get to momentarily. But overall, the undercard I thought delivered. So on the kickoff show, real quick, we had Elias knocking off Apollo Cruz. Fine match, not really worth going out of your way to see. Opening the actual show for the Intercontinental Championship was The Miz taking on Jason Jordan. Now, these two had been feuding on and off since July, really since Jordan arrived on Raw in the month of July of 2017 as the illegitimate son of Kurt Angle, the Raw GM at that point. And these two had a really, really good match. Jason Jordan, people weren't really buying into him as a babyface. Not that he wasn't a threat to the championship, because he was. There was a very good chance he could beat The Miz here for the belt. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty poor idea to put Jordan in chase mode against a guy who was at that point firing in all cylinders in The Miz, and still is to this day The Miz is. Not only that, but Miz was in his, not hometown, but like second hometown of Los Angeles, California, which is where he's billed from. The crowd was white hot for The Miz on this show. I mean, it opened the show. It was a good match. The crowd was into it. But it was pretty apparent they were very much behind Miz, way more than they were behind Jason Jordan. So that didn't exactly help Jordan's cause at all. But I thought he had a good showing here. It was a very entertaining match. The right guy went over, albeit with interference. And you would think that because of the dirty finish with Miz winning after interference from Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, that they would set up a rematch. But we had no rematch. Jordan never again, I don't think, to my memory anyway, got another shot at the Intercontinental Championship. They quickly transitioned into Miz's feud with the Shield for the fall before Miz went away in November. So Jordan never got another shot at the championship, which was weird. Based off his post-match promo, again, you would think they would have gone in that direction. The crowd booed anyway. His post-match promo sucked. He was like, oh, the crowd chants you suck at Kurt Angle because of his theme song. Well, Miz, you suck. It was like, really, dude? I mean, I'm not blaming it on Jordan. I'm sure it was what was written for him, but it's like, it was so apparent the guy was the second coming of Rocky Maivia. And he was a very entertaining character before he got hurt earlier this year as a heel, but not really a heel. At this point, it was pretty apparent they were still trying to push him as a babyface, and it just was not working. But as a match, I really liked this. I thought the right guy went over. Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt rekindling their rivalry on this show after their initial encounter at SummerSlam, which was won by the Demon Finn Balor. The story here was that Finn Balor went into this match as Finn Balor the Man, even though he had already seen Finn Balor the Man take on Bray Wyatt on an episode of Raw before SummerSlam, and he fucking lost. He was able to beat Bray here. This was easily the best match these two had against each other in the entire course of their feud. They resumed the rivalry from this point forward. I thought this was the best possible way to close out the feud, a feud I gave no shits about at all. But I thought it was a very good match for what it was. It wasn't a barn burner or anything, but for the time they had, about 10, 11 minutes, the pre-match attack from Bray on Finn Balor really, made it more than just your average outing. because Balor had a reason to beat the shit out of Bray and get his revenge and bounce back. And there was also an out there if he lost that he was attacked beforehand, so he had an excuse for losing. But he didn't. He won clean here. So again, I thought it was their best match to date, which really isn't saying much. But it was much better than the SummerSlam match. It wasn't exciting by any means, but I thought it was very well wrestled. Both guys had solid showings here, and the right guy went over. Unfortunately, WWE thought it was fitting to continue the feud coming out of the show for whatever fucking reason, because it sucked. And we almost got a TLC before Wyatt got like the measles or some shit like that. We almost got Wyatt and Balor with the Demon versus Sister Abigail. God, that would have been atrocious. Thank God that did not come to fruition. But yeah, this match, for what it was, I thought it was good. The feud should have ended here. It didn't. For the Raw Tag Team titles, speaking of never-ending rivalries, Cesaro and Sheamus went back for the gold here against Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins after they dropped the championships to them at SummerSlam. This was an amazing match. Easily the best thing on the entire show. And this match had a lot of good matches. Easily the best match in the whole show. The thing here was that, I mean, this was still early on in the feud, but when I say never-ending rivalries, this feud never really seemed to fucking end. Up until Ambrose got hurt in early December, these two teams were still feuding by the month of December. And even after Ambrose got hurt, Rollins still feuded with Cesaro and Sheamus, just with Jason Jordan as his partner until like January, until like the Rumble, or like even early February. It's like, you gotta move on, Rollins. You gotta move on. But I never really once complained about the Ambrose, Rollins, Cesaro, Sheamus feud, because at least the matches were terrific. This was no exception. Like I said, the best thing in the entire show. Very well wrestled, very hard hitting. Cesaro at one point, this was the match where he got his teeth busted in. Not fallen out or broken or whatever. His teeth, after he got a, whatever it's called, he got thrown into the turnbuckle, face first. Like legit face first. Because his teeth went from where they are up into his gums, like multiple inches too. Not just a little bit, but like, oh, it was so fucking gross. They showed the replay here. I think it was at the hands of Dean Ambrose. It was pretty brutal. But he didn't stop there. He continued to wrestle the rest of the match and have a great fucking match of that. It wasn't even that he continued to wrestle. The match was awesome. So him and Sheamus, I thought, put forth a tremendous effort here, specifically Cesaro. Ambrose and Rollins continuing to kill it as tag team partners. All four guys just worked so well together, and the chemistry was on another level. I love this match. The result was what it needed to be with Ambrose and Rollins retaining the championship, but, I mean, again, standing ovation, standing O for Cesaro. I applaud you, sir, for continuing to see this thing through and not stopping and crying and running to the back right there like I probably would have. I thought this was amazing. For the Raw Women's Championship, we had a Fatal 5-Way. Again, a match I really did not care too much about going in just because, oh, multi-women match, well, huzzah, like, been there, done that. It was Alexa Bliss, the defending champion, against Bayley, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and Emma. I think it was supposed to be Bliss and Jax one-on-one before Emma and Banks got added. And then Bayley came back on the final Raw before the pay-per-view, and it's like, fuck it, let's just make it a 5-way. The match, though, I thought was pretty good. They didn't get a ton of time. It was only about 10 minutes long, but it didn't fall victim to the typical formula of, like, two women in there at once. And then the rest of the three women, like, sleep on the outside. There were constant kickouts. All women were being involved at all points. They kept it interesting. They kept it exciting. And they kept people on their feet. I thought this was good. I thought this was really, really good, actually. And in the end, Nia Jax also came away from this looking like a star. She's really not that good, but when well protected, she comes across very well like she was here. She was booked like a monster. She took a very scary spot early on. It was a powerbomb to the outside from the ring apron. It took all four women to get her to the ground here. And when she took the powerbomb, and I'm sure this has happened before because I know I've seen this spot before with her, and it never looks good. I mean, not in the way that, like, oh, it was botched, but, like, she could have broken her fucking neck. So Nia Jax takes the spot, she takes the bump, and it looks like her body folds up like an accordion. So, again, I'm glad she wasn't hurt. Probably not the safest spot, or maybe they needed more room and they powerbombed her a little too close to the ring. I'm not sure what the issue was there, but it just did not look pretty. Let's put it that much. But it did look brutal, though. So, anyway, the match was fun. Alexa Bliss, in the end, doing what she does best. Capitalizing on the win, making sure all the other women were on the outside when she hit Bayley with her signature DDT to retain the title. Bayley just came back and she's already being pinned. So at that point, it was made pretty clear that Bayley was just another woman on the roster and that she was being not buried, but it's like no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit about Bayley. But the match was good, though. We had Roman Reigns and John Cena colliding for the first time ever one-on-one on the show. The build-up, I thought, was tremendous. John Cena annihilated Roman Reigns on every single occasion. These two went at it on the mic in the middle of the ring on Raw. The build-up, I thought, was great. Roman Reigns winning was kind of predictable. I mean, he had to win, though. He had to win. You can't have John Cena say this type of stuff that he did about Roman Reigns and then beat Roman Reigns, because it makes the guy look like a loser. Then again, I mean, the same thing happened when Roman said all that shit about Brock, and then Brock beat him anyway at WrestleMania this year and at SummerSlam last year, but I digress. Cena had to lose this one. He did, so again, props to him for doing the honors to Roman Reigns. Not like I never thought that he wouldn't. But as a match, I thought it was entertaining. The people were very divided on this. Not in the arena, I mean, in the arena too. But like online, people were like, oh, that was shit, that was awful. There was a lot of people that liked it, a lot of people that did not like it. I was in the camp that liked it. Watching it back, I did not like it as much as I remember liking it. It did bring back memories and kind of give me the vibe of John Cena versus Batista from SummerSlam '08, in which it wasn't an instant classic. It wasn't like a mat classic hold for hold match, but in terms of delivering big spots and getting the crowd involved and getting that emotion and drama going, I thought they succeeded at that perfectly. I thought in that respect, it was a very entertaining match. Now, but really the biggest nitpick that I had about this match was this, and that they had Roman kick out of not one, not two, not even three, but 4 attitude adjustments. And all it took was one spear for Roman to beat Cena. Now, again, I know what they were going for. That they wanted people to react huge when Brock kicked out of the fucking spear at WrestleMania the next year. And they wanted their crowd to react huge when Roman kicked out of the F5 at WrestleMania the next year. Well, they didn't. People sat on their hands. Newsflash. People didn't care. So I thought that was kind of dumb. Pretty much buried the attitude adjustment. I mean, the feud had really, or not the feud, I'm sorry, the move. The move is what I'm trying to say. The move had really been marginalized largely prior to that point. I mean, it's John Cena. People will buy into the move no matter what. But when people don't kick out of 1 AA, it looks weak. Like when Roman kicks out of 4, including one off the top rope, it makes everyone else that does not kick out of it the first time look very weak. And that's the problem with all these finisher kick out nowadays. Like Stardust and Wade Barrett kicked out of AAs when they did that whole US Open challenge back in 2015. Stardust. Who cares? You know, like I love Cody Rhodes, but like Stardust kicking out of an AA, really? Like who cares? It really damages the move. And I thought they did that with the AA here. Like Cena has not wrestled many matches since. I don't think Cena's won a major pay-per-view match since. Now I know he beat Triple H at the greatest Royal Rumble. I don't really consider that a pay-per-view, to be quite honest with you. I consider that a network special. I think it was on pay-per-view too. I don't really remember. But I don't really consider that a major pay-per-view. And the show sucked anyway. Cena has not won a major match since SummerSlam last year. He lost here. Now, the thing here was that the post-match thing was that they made it out to be a big deal. Cena retiring. Is he done? The guy came back 2 fucking months later on SmackDown to take part in Team SmackDown at Survivor Series for no reason at all. Stupid. How stupid. So Cena's on Team SmackDown. He lost that match and wasn't seen again until Christmas. So again, what purpose did it serve for after this match? If you want to have them, you know, endorse each other and shake hands and make out, whatever the fuck, with Roman and John, that's fine. I know they were going to do that. They did that. They had Cena show respect to Roman, even though he said that he wouldn't. Whatever. I figured that would happen. But to play up that it was Cena's last match and that he's done forever, give me a break. The guy was back 2 months later. So he lost at this match. He lost at Survivor Series. He lost at the Royal Rumble, failed to win the Rumble. Lost at Elimination Chamber. Lost at Fastlane. And lost at WrestleMania. And he has not been back since. And now again, he was at the greatest Royal Rumble. That really isn't, I don't really count that. Because the guy was not on Raw in between WrestleMania and the Rumble. The greatest Royal Rumble. He has not been back on TV since. Now, I know he recently or was going to do a house show or has been announced for a couple house shows in like Singapore or something. I don't really know. but he has not been on TV since April or late March, whatever, since the spring, which is pretty crazy. But as far as this match goes, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Again, it was an entertaining encounter. Some people may not feel that way. I did not think it was a top 10 best match of the year at all, but it put over Roman big, and that's really all that mattered at the end of the day. For the Cruiserweight Championship, we had Neville defending against Enzo Amore. The match was okay at best. It's Enzo Amore. The guy put forth a good effort. I applaud him for that. I appreciate the fact that he put forth the effort here into making this as good of a match as possible. The crowd didn't care. People did not give a shit about 205 Live. They didn't give a shit about the Cruiserweight division. So people really did not care here at all, despite the fact that Enzo was supposed to be this huge popular babyface, which is why I thought they made the right move in turning him heel. Now, at the time, it came across like a joke that Enzo would beat Neville. In reality, it really is. That he would be able to beat Neville considering how amazing of an athlete Neville is, and then there's Enzo who sucks. So yeah, in retrospect, and even at the time, it was a joke that he beat Neville for the belt. We haven't seen Neville since. I think he appeared in like an episode of Raw, or like maybe twice after this, and an episode of 205 Live, and beyond that, he was gone. And I think he has since been officially released from WWE. So maybe that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know. And having him lose to Enzo, I would assume so. Hey, I would walk out too. If I had to lose to Enzo, give me a break. After being dominant for so long, he finally gets beaten by Enzo Amore of all people. Again, give me a fucking break. What a joke. The match was really not good though. And then Enzo went on to become their heel champion for a few months. I thought Enzo as a heel he was a lot better as a heel than he was as a babyface on his own. But his matches still sucked, and he was gone by January anyway, because he got released because the whole rape incident thing. So Enzo as a heel really was a bust. Taking that title off Neville was a mistake, if only to do it just to Enzo. Again, major mistake. For the Universal Championship, our main event, what was supposed to be this big marquee must-see main event between Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, was a massive disappointment. The match, again, sucked. It really wasn't that good. Early on, they captured the crowd's attention, went all of 9 minutes. Again, nothing new for a Brock Lesnar match in 2017, 2018. They've all really been rather short, which is probably for the better. But when you have Braun hit his finisher on Brock multiple times, and then Braun goes down to one F5, what does that say about the current roster? What does that say about Braun Strowman? It says that he's a fucking loser. He was able to bounce back by turning face, all this other stuff, but it really did not make him look good at all. He came across here like an incompetent loser, being unable to not only, put Brock away, but it took him 5 finishers of his, and he still wasn't able to beat Brock. I know they praised his performance and he looked great in defeat. He really didn't. The match was awful. Again, I thought this was a great show up until this point. Really, the last 45 minutes made this a pretty show. This was a bad main event. I think people would remember the show better if the main event was better. The main event was very disappointing. People said Joe and Brock was disappointing. This was even worse. Way worse. Joe and Brock, at least, I thought they told a good story there. This really didn't tell a good story at all. Braun was dominant at times, but he still got fed to Brock like a loser. It really didn't even matter. So, again, I thought this was a weak main event to an otherwise entertaining show. I thought the Enzo and Neville stuff was weak. Roman and Cena I thought was good. Again, people might disagree. The first 4 matches I thought were great, though. The IC title match, Balor and Bray, the tag title match especially, and the women's match I thought were all very good, if not great. So again, check out those matches. If there's any one match to watch, honestly, it would be the Raw Tag Team title match between Ambrose, Rollins, Cesaro, and Sheamus. Everything else I thought was solid. Overall, it was a solid show. I thought the good outweighed the bad. You still have your bad in there with the Cruiserweight title match and the main event. But overall, we had more good stuff than bad stuff. So I say overall, it was a solid show. All in all, a decent show. And that was No Mercy 2017, the final installment, anyway, at least as far as I know, in the history of No Mercy, as it's since been done away with, unfortunately. The theme song was great. It was by Kit, called No Mercy, of course. I thought it was a great song. They used it for both No Mercy 2016 and 2017, and unfortunately, we will no longer be able to hear it on WWE TV because the event is no more. But hopefully Super Showdown or whatever the fuck they're coming up with next is better than, I guess, better than this? I don't know. I don't know why Super Showdown would be better than No Mercy, but nonetheless, thank you guys for checking out the review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the review, like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Next week, right here on WrestleRant, likely up on Monday, I will be talking ECW Heatwave. Is it Heatwave? Something like that. ECW Heatwave 1998. So 20 years since the event aired. We're talking all about it right here on WrestleRant next week, likely on Monday. So until next time, guys, I'm Graham Giason Matthews. Have an awesome rest of your week, and I'll catch your ass down the road.